Get seated. Talk about life, family, work, and interview men and women who are doing amazing stuff for Ghana. This evening I have one such great story to share with you. A very honorable man and servant of the land. I'm really honored to have him in here. I'm Lexus Bill. So COVID-19 is real. Coronavirus is real. It's here with us. Some say, oh, we have to live with it. We have to accept it. More importantly, though, we have to protect ourselves. Are you in your mask? Are you sanitizing your hands and washing your hands? What about social distancing? Now you do believe that it is here. Ghana has recorded just a few figures shy of 13,000. Yeah, it's about 70 cases and we'll be hitting 13,000 cases. That's worrying. It is spreading. Your neighbors have it, your friends have it, your colleagues have it. So protect yourself. So it's a big pandemic that we all have to live with and deal with. There are gallant men and women at the front lines who are helping this fight. They're doing all they can to help save lives, to make sure we're able to recover. I mean, no one's issue is special, but what happens when a pregnant woman is positive? She needs to be delivered of her baby, and not just normal birth, but a cesarean section. And you are the obstetrician gynecologist. This is not a regular day on the job, no. This is a regular day on the job plus COVID. It is tough. But don't let me tell you that. My guest will tell us all about it. Lieutenant Colonel Agyare-Gyane is an experienced obstetrician and gynecologist. Is a women's health advocate and medical educator with a 37 military hospital. Now, he recently led a team to deliver a pregnant COVID-19 patient through a cesarean section at the Elwak Isolation and Treatment Center. And I thought tonight this man has to be celebrated. His team has to be celebrated. And we get to actually walk a mile in their shoes right here on Personality Profile. So please help me welcome Lieutenant Colonel Agyare-Gyane to the studios of Joy 99.7 FM. So should I do the salute or should I stand up and march?
It's okay.
Good evening, brother, and welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you for inviting me.
And I see you're in full uniform. What? Haven't you closed from work? I thought it was off-duty thing.
I have, but since you're addressing me by rank, just so that I identify where I'm coming from.
Okay.
It is appropriate that I'm in uniform.
Oh, you look good in it. When Mary Mama, should I salute as well?
It's okay.
I shouldn't. I was a cadet, so I'm actually familiar with all the things.
Okay.
Don't ask me to do press-ups, I beg. But hey, congratulations, brother, and really good to have you, and good to know you're doing. Are you doing well?
Yeah, I'm good.
How's your day been? How's today been?
Relatively, it has been quite calm. Haven't done a lot at work. My team was on duty yesterday.
Okay.
Yesterday was extremely busy throughout, from morning till early hours of this morning, so today has been quite calm.
Yeah, so you work at 37. If you can give me a brief about your work specifically.
So my normal place of work is the Women's Health Unit in 37 Military Hospital. So working with obstetric patients and gynecological patients on the wards and in the clinic. So basically that's what I do, normal day job.
Okay.
With respect to COVID, I provide assistance to some of our medical officers who are in our department but have been seconded to help in isolation center.
Yeah.
So I sort of provide backup support to them together with my colleagues in the department.
Okay.
I'm not the only one doing this.
Yeah.
Always teamwork, yes.
I believe so. I believe so. We'll delve into the main issue and what I am curious about. I'm very curious about, all that went on with this pregnant woman that you managed to deliver. But I'm just a little also curious about you as a person. Which one is the passion, the gynecological bit or the military bit? How did you marry the two?
I really can't tell. I love soldier. And I love what I do as well. So
which one came first?
I finished medical school in 2004.
Okay.
So I worked as a medical officer for a couple of years before I joined Soldier. So
what made you join Soldier?
What made me join Soldier? So as I said, I finished medical school in 2004. Did my house job in Kolebu, and then went to the district for 3 years. I was in the Ahafo region.
Okay.
Agyare-Gyane for 3 years, and then came back to Accra. And then joined the military hospital as a civilian initially.
Okay.
I didn't feel like I belonged whilst I was a civilian, so I felt I had to be in uniform. I mean, before I even joined the military hospital, I had already spoken to a colleague who is also a senior officer in the military, Commander in Safo, and we had discussed what it would take to get in there. And then when I joined as a civilian, subsequently I went to the military academy and then commissioned in 2008.
So what did it take for you to join in when you asked them, and were you motivated by all the things they told you? Because now I'm listening to you, I'm like, okay, maybe.
Well, if I look at my own background, so I went to GSTS from 1988 to 95. I was in the cadets a couple of times, but I wasn't in the cadets full time.
Yeah.
So I've been exposed to that military type of thing.
Yeah.
And anybody who's a giant will tell you, there's some sort of military training in the school itself. Most of the things we do in the school is akin to what you see in the military academy. So it wasn't
like what?
Okay, so if you take the military academy, wake up early, street places, clean places, making sure every place is clean, whitewashed, making sure beds are well dressed, going for inspections, being prompt to every meeting.
Okay.
That was the typical GSTS I attended in 1988. That was how it was. So being in the military academy, and anybody who has gone to GST, who went through GSTS and has joined the military, I don't think will find joining the military difficult. So seeing how soldiers were being trained in school and joining subsequently, it didn't look any different. But of course, as I said, I love being a soldier. So
you passed out when? In which year?
So I commissioned in 2008, September 2008. And did my regimentals in Tamale 6BN. Took part in the election 2008 in Salaga in the first round.
Okay.
And then
took part in it.
I went to troops. I led troops to the place to provide security at the various polling stations.
Yeah.
So I was in Salaga for close to 2 weeks because after the election there were some hotspots in there that we needed to be dealt with. So we didn't have to come back to Tamale right after the election. So I was in Salaga for a couple of days more than we needed to be. And then subsequently, the second round, we had to go to Naleru Gambaga to do the same thing. So I was in Tamale after commissioning in September 2008 till somewhere, I think May 2009. Yes.
Oh, wow. Have you been to war?
No, I've not been to war, but I've served with the colors in Chad. So the first Ghana Forces mission that went to Chad.
Chad?
Yes, to Chad. I was the medical officer with that group. The first medical one was quite challenging because we were the first group to get there. We lived in tents. We had to battle with storms that carried our tents away. But it was fun. I mean, that's where you make good friends, and most of the good friends I have in the military are coming from that time.
But it's good you had to battle with storms and not rebels, or you had to.
Well, a couple of our guys had some challenges with rebels. One group actually had challenges in Chad with some rebels. So yes, but not in sort of any gunfight, so to speak.
Yeah.
But some altercations with rebels.
Yeah.
But beyond that, Chad was good to us.
Was it dangerous?
The terrain in Chad was the arid desert type. So in terms of heat, you wake up in the morning, the temperature is at 50 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
I remember when I got to N'Djamena initially, when you go into the bathrooms, you realize they put up pictures of how your urine looks like and how badly dehydrated you are. So if you see that the urine is deep yellow, getting reddish, then you should know that you need to go drink water. So child was challenging in that sense. Plus the fact that we're in remote areas, we're quite far from the capital. We're in Fashana, which was close to the Sudan border, so that was challenging in Chad. I was in Chad for a year, and then subsequently I was also in Cote d'Ivoire for a year.
What was the most exciting part of being in Chad or Cote d'Ivoire, whichever of them you want to talk about? Like the good part of it. What did you like? I would cast your mind back.
Chad was more of the people I served with. As I said, most of the friends I have in the armed forces and friends I've made in the armed forces coming from my mission in Chad. Cote d'Ivoire was more of a medical mission, so the people I worked with in 37 were around level 2 hospital in Bouake in Cote d'Ivoire. Being close to Ghana made Cote d'Ivoire feel more like home than Chad. And being an Islam man, I was just close to my hometown, so it wasn't too bad.
You didn't sneak out of camp one time?
Well, we were allowed to. Our commander also was very, very lenient with us.
Okay.
He was firm by, but he gave us opportunities to go to town. We didn't break in.
Yeah. Anyway, well, the military life is one that I admire. And that's why I'm probing a little more. But let's get to talk about the main reason why I decided to have you on the show today. Now, you, together with a team of other doctors and nurses, delivered a COVID-19 pregnant woman of her baby a few weeks back, right?
Yes.
Now, was this the first COVID-19 pregnant woman who safely gave birth through cesarean at the Elwak facility?
So that was our very first patient to have a cesarean section at the Elwak facility who was pregnant.
Now, before we actually delve into it, I want you to listen to what he had to say before the whole procedure. You had a conversation with Beryl Richter before the procedure. Listen.
Lieutenant Colonel Frederick Agyare-Gyane.
Basically, nothing different from the regular cesarean section, except we know that because of the patient's unfortunate infection with COVID-19, we need to take precautions for mother of the baby and for the team members who will be involved in the procedure. And we don't expect anything untoward or anything different from what a normal cesarean section would be. We've been planning all of this out for a couple of days. We've spoken to all the clinics, we've got clinical psychologists to speak to the patients, we have pediatricians who are on standby and observers in theater to ask if there's any requirements for that purpose, because we're not working in normal hospital environment.
So this was not just another cesarean section you were going to undertake?
Yes, it wasn't. Of course, key to this, I mean, is the protection of staff, because I'm sure all hospitals have challenges in terms of staffing. So in going to any challenging situation like this, where you are dealing with an infectious condition that potentially can get others infected, you want to make sure that staff and everybody is prepared so that things go right. Being our first time doing the cesarean section, it needed a lot of planning to make sure that things don't go wrong, because we don't have the sort of support we will get if we were working in the normal hospital environment. So we have to have conversations with various specialties. I mean, as I mentioned in the interview you played back, I had to have a conversation with the head of pediatrics at 37 about plans to cater for the baby in all scenarios that we're going to be exposed to, because babies can come out and not be crying well, so they would need immediate resuscitation. So you need to have plans that, okay, if things are not going well at Elwak, what do we do? How do we make sure that baby is going to survive all of this? We are thinking about, we don't know all about COVID, so we are thinking about if baby comes out, how long can the baby stay in the room with a mom without unduly exposing that baby and then getting baby infected. Bear in mind, the literature does not necessarily put that risk at a very high level, but we never know. So we want to make sure that everything is well with the patient. For the patient as well, it was new, the environment is new, and for this patient in particular, it was her first pregnancy and first delivery. So it was novel for her. It was a challenge because she was not in normal environment. I don't know if I mentioned that to Beryl earlier on, but there were a lot of us in the room with her alone. I mean, you can say that most of us knew what we were about, but she was in a new environment, so it was a challenge for her in terms of her anxiety. But knowing this, we had already gotten the clinical psychologist who is with the team at Elwak to have conversations with her and try and allay her fears as much as we could to make sure that the procedure goes on without any hitch.
Did you or your team members also need a clinical psychologist before this?
My conversation with no one has mentioned that they needed to see the clinical psychologist. I think except one of us who the team that did the case, one of us who is a civilian. All the rest of us are military, so maybe that's why
with the civilians.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Military for the moon here.
Not necessarily. We do need psychology sometimes, but in this case, we are not that wimpy. I think we can do it those days.
No, but be honest with me. Did you say a prayer before doing this?
Well, to say, did I say a prayer as in go down my knees and pray? No. But did I tell myself I need to psych myself with some sort of affirmation to make sure this thing goes well? Yes. Because you don't want the first one that's going to happen to go wrong.
So what was the risk level for your team, the mother and the child? I'm particularly concerned about the child. Were you aware that the child was positive or negative?
You mean before delivery?
Yeah, before delivery.
Well, there's no way to tell because of the way coronavirus is tested for. There's no way to tell whether the child is positive or negative. But what we know, and from the literature available, is that the virus, the load of the virus in maternal blood is not high enough for it to be transferred to baby through the placenta.
Okay.
So by that measure, you do not expect a baby that's going to be delivered to be infected.
Oh.
So it's when the baby is exposed to the outside environment that risk exists. And in our situation, most sort of surgical theaters, in advanced places and probably in big hospitals, would have a system of extracting air from the theater and making the place negative pressure, so that you don't have outside air staying and the infected air goes out. Unfortunately, in the case of our work, we're operating in a tent. So it's a field hospital. We are operating in military style field hospital in tent. So you don't have that system running. So you are concerned with respect to the child, with the possibility that there will be some, of course, infective organisms rolling in the air that potentially can get this child infected. So that was the risk that we were worried with child. But from the discussion with the pediatricians, we noted that what we were told was that we don't have to worry too much about it. Baby can actually be nursed with mother in the same room. Mother has to be in the face mask if mother decides to breastfeed.
Okay. And
that would keep baby safe. Of course, baby has to be tested when baby is delivered and a couple of days thereafter. So those were the plans that were made for the baby. So if everything went well, that was what we were going to do. And indeed, everything went well with respect to baby and mother. So we didn't have to move baby away from mother throughout. With respect to the mother, she was already positive. So our only concern in terms of risk to her was that we don't have a challenging procedure in terms of anesthesia, administration of anesthesia, and the procedure itself. Because sometimes the sessions can go bad. You can cause damage to the patient's bladder, you can cause damage to the patient's bowel, and then suddenly you need a urologist in theater, you need a general surgeon in theater to help out. Sometimes you might have bleeding that's excessive, and you might need to want to remove woman's womb or all of those things. So those were the dangers that we expected in respect to cesarean section. For the team, in the main, because all of us were clad in full personal protective equipment,
all of you had to go in fully kitted.
So the challenge for teams that would have to do this is the fact that you have to be in full PPEs that are sort of you are in plastics for the length of time that you do this procedure. So everybody will come out drenched in their own sweat. And if the procedure is going to take so long, then you have to worry about things about using the bathroom and all. But of course, we didn't get to that level. So that was for the team because we're well protected.
Yeah.
In terms of risk, that was minimal for the team. But of course, no one, because of the unforeseens and unknowns that we expected, we didn't know would happen. Those are other challenges that we had to deal with.
How many were you in the team?
So the total number of people in the team, there were 12 of us. Unfortunately, I wouldn't know one name. So the anesthetic team was led by Lieutenant Colonel Michael Asare. We had Lieutenant Colonel Mumuni, Major Lambert J, Captain George Ojo. So they were the anesthetic team.
Okay.
For the perioperative nurses, those who assist the surgeons do the procedure, we had Sub-Lieutenant Tamate, and then the only civilian amongst us, Dorothy Suman. For the midwife in there was one Lieutenant Agyare-Gyane, and then the pediatrician in there was Flight Lieutenant Ebenezer Tamate. We had Randy Teria, Major Randy Teria,
yeah,
was in there sort of providing sort of media work, so to speak.
Okay.
And then we needed one sort of biomedical engineer in there with us, because if we had any equipment failure, we needed somebody in there who could immediately deal with that for us, because we were using oxygen cylinders in there. So if anything runs out, somebody had to change all of these things. So we had Jonas AJ in there with us. And then subsequently there was one environmental officer who needed to, because if you wear the personal protective equipment, the point at which you are at greatest risk of getting infected is taking them off. Because you've been in an environment where things have settled on it. So when you take them off, that's when you are more likely to get infected. So you need somebody there who sort of wash you in chlorine to make sure that these things do not happen. So that was the 12 man in this. But these are 12 people who were involved in the initial thing. As I said, this thing went beyond just the procedure itself. We had Major Tente, clinical psychologists, who had spoken to the woman at length, and Dr. Pabi, who was a pediatrician who was giving us backup from the hospital. One person I forgot to mention is sort of the key person who did most of the work than I did. She was Flight Lieutenant Cynthia Usinti. She's actually the trainee obstetrician who is on ground at the place. So she sort of had close personal interactions with the patient throughout her stay there. The patient probably would never remember me, but she would definitely remember Flight Lieutenant Usinti. She did a great job with that.
Kudos to the whole team. Yeah, you deserve a round of applause. Yeah, the world's going to know your name. Lieutenant Colonel Asari, Lieutenant Colonel Mumuni, Major Lambert J, Major Randy Teria, Captain George Ojo, Flight Lieutenant Cynthia Usi, Flight Lieutenant Ebenezer Tamate, Sub Lieutenant Tamate as well, Lieutenant Agyare-Gyane, WA1 Jonas Obeng, the whole team. So ideally, if you were doing this procedure in your hospital, barring COVID, how many people would be there?
Basically, you were looking at probably 7 people. So probably an anesthetist and an assistant, the surgeon and assistant, the scrub nurse, that's the pre-operative nurse, and a runner, so to speak, and somebody, probably another person hanging around to do cleaning.
How long does this procedure take?
Okay, so in terms of standard, there's no set standard, and the expertise, the experience of the person who is doing it also counts. But of course, you always want to end up having done a safe procedure. So some people can actually do cesarean sections under 30 minutes, even less. This particular procedure took close to an hour because we had other challenges to deal with in terms of the environment in which we worked. So there's no standard set time. Sometimes it can go on long because there are challenges during the procedure itself.
What was the lady's condition before the procedure? Were they in factors?
We didn't have any specific factors that we were worried about with respect to the patient herself. She was a healthy specimen, except for the fact that she had COVID-19 positive. Apart from that, she was okay. A bit anxious, of course, as I said, was the first time, but generally she was great.
So, what's her state now? You said the baby came out negative.
Yes, she is actually very well. I am informed, and again, as I said, Flight Lieutenant Usinti is still in touch with her. She's attending her postnatal care with her primary physician. She was actually referred from somewhere to 37 to come and do the test. Ended up being positive and being admitted. So, but she's actually doing well. She and the baby are both doing very, very well.
Wow, we thank God. Personally, after this, did you have to isolate?
I didn't have to because I wasn't exposed in any way, because I was fully clad in PPEs. But I didn't have to isolate.
You are so confident.
Because I've not tested positive. I've done the test a couple of times and I've not tested positive. If I test positive, I'm going to isolate.
Hey. How is it like knowing that you're confronting COVID every day?
Well, I mean, to myself and to all the health workers in the country, I think we've been called upon to do a job, and I think we've risen up to the occasion and we are performing as we should. It's a challenge. Okay, so if you look at the guidelines that goes with COVID, I mean, you get the impression, not the impression, what is said is that you should make sure you are in a face mask for respiratory hygiene, contact hygiene in terms of places being clean and all. I think the challenges for people who are doing obstetrics, that is providing antenatal care is this. Most antenatal clinics are choked, as in they are full of patients. So how do you ensure social distancing in this environment? If you leave pregnant women at home and you do not provide them with any care, then you're going to end up with another problem where people are going to lose their babies and then mothers are going to die. So you need to find a way of providing care. Elsewhere, and indeed with 37, what we essentially did from March was that we instituted a system of trying to provide consultation for patients using social media. So we used WhatsApp for the patient to reduce the load of patients who come to clinic. That helped reduce the load in clinic and then ensured some amount of social distancing.
Yeah.
You would expect that after seeing every patient, people need to wash their hands, make sure surfaces are clean. This unfortunately will be sometimes difficult to do because you need to wipe down the place, because where people have touched, you don't want to touch there. So that's a challenge. Obstetrics by its very nature is also very invasive because you need to examine a woman's pregnant bum. So you need to go very close to the patient, breathe on the patient, probably the patient breathes on you. So both of you are putting yourselves at risk. So that is one thing that you need to deal with. So that's also a challenge. And if you take labor and delivery, it becomes quite worse at that stage because these patients are in pain.
Yeah. You
don't know who is positive, you don't know who is negative. Patients are flailing about. So you get the challenge that midwives would have to go through during these times. But you have to come to work anyway. And as a couple of health workers have turned out being positive. I have very close friends who are positive. I have very close friends who have been exposed severally, and I've had multiple tests, some about 6.
So when you hear the number of frontline workers and your colleagues and friends who are catching the virus and all, that scare you sometimes?
Scare no, but I'm worried.
Worried?
Yeah. Well, fortunately for us, we've had a couple of losses, senior doctors who have passed, a couple of doctors who have passed elsewhere. You worry that the numbers in terms of health workers who are going to capitulate to this is going to rise, and if it rises, then what happens? What happens to the others who are still working in their family? So that gets me worried. I mean, scared. I don't know what being scared would do for me. It wouldn't do anything to me. So
yeah,
it gets me worried.
I'm worried too. I'm worried. Very worried, actually. I just got a message from Lieutenant CDR Ursula Bunia in DRC. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, I know her.
Yes. Hi, Alexis. I just want to say kudos to Dr. Agyare-Gyane. His patience and selflessness makes team working with him so easy and stress-free.
Thank you.
Why are you blushing?
Okay, so it's fine.
No, say it.
Well, I work with the friend coming I've been with. That's Esla Hoppenbauer. That's what I should say. That's what I should probably say. I worked with her for several years. I have same nice words to say about her. She's also very hardworking.
Yeah. Look, for the first time in my life, I can see a soldier blush. He's turning purple. And I also got a message from my brother Major Kilson, who sends his regards. He says that he was with you in Chad.
Yeah, so that's Ike Amwa. So he's one of the friends I made in Chad, and they have become lifelong friends with me.
Yeah. Awesome. Lots of messages. You can send yours on 0244340437. Lexus, you are scared. You just talk through. Kudos to the doctor. Great man. It's from Kamna in Adenta. Great job, Dr. Agyare-Gyane. It's not that straightforward operating a COVID-19 infected patients in a hospital, let alone in a makeshift theater. I want to also use this opportunity to congratulate the entire team, the peri-operative nurses, anesthetics, midwives, biomedical engineers, cleaners and porters, and others there present. We have had at least 2 CSs at the UGMC2, and I'll say it has been a great experience. It's from Joel K. Joel, thank you so much, and kudos to you and your team at the University of Ghana Medical Center. Yeah. So, bro, tell me, Ghana's confirmed COVID-19 infections climbed to 339 new cases. We're inching closer to 13,000. What do you think about that?
Okay, so let me first speak as a regular Ghanaian citizen. It's a concern. The numbers are going up. I've told others maybe the disease has been a bit calm on us. We've not had the deaths that has been experienced elsewhere. But what if those situations are ahead of us? So that's what I am worried about, and I think that's what everybody should be worried about.
You think that for now the disease has been kind to us?
So generally, as the literature will show, most people will say 20% of people infected, most papers will say 20% of people infected are severely or critically ill. We have close to 13,000 now, and we don't have quite like that number being severely ill. Most of the people who are in these centers are asymptomatic and probably can't self-isolate at home, and that's why they are in these centers. So I would say probably we don't have that of 1 out of 5 patients being admitted for this.
Yeah.
But that said, other institutions have also reported that some patients are being brought in dead that no one knows what killed them. But it doesn't look like some sort of epidemic of dead patients coming to us too. So I don't think that's a problem. So in that respect, I think that this probably has been a bit kind to us. But then again, as I said, I need to say this: no one knows how this is going. We still have increasing numbers, and there are still challenges in terms of return of results. As I said, I have 2 very, very close colleagues who recently tested positive, and the results after testing came back a few days after they are tested. So I worry about the fact that if it takes time for the results to come back, then potentially others are going to be exposed before you realize you are positive, and then it makes our numbers go up. And then if we have people who have other comorbid problems, then potentially they are going to get severely ill, and then unfortunately we'll lose them as well. So that's my concern.
What do you make of our efforts in combating the pandemic in general?
Okay, so hand washing and keeping our hands clean, keeping surfaces clean, and most of these things culturally have not been our thing. I'm comparing us to the Western world. But of course, this has brought that in, and I think most people, despite the few that you hear are recalcitrant and are not obeying the rules, are doing this. What bothers me is people wear face masks and they put it under their noses. Then they are better not wear it at all. So I think people should, if you are going to wear the face mask, wear it well. Hand washing, not touching surfaces unnecessarily. Those also bother me as well. So I think that should be done.
Well, I hear people want to just call and congratulate you and your team. So I'm going to activate the phone lines for a few minutes. 0302-216-541. You can do that. You can call and speak to Lieutenant Colonel Frederick Agyare-Gyane, who is my guest on Personality Profile here on Joy 99.7 FM. If you had any advice for the president in regards to the fight against the pandemic, what would it be?
First, I would like to thank him for what he has done so far in terms of the measures that he's put in place, and for us to abide by, hoping to keep us all healthy. Health workers would always ask for more personal protective equipment. They want support at work. But I need to mention this because I'm an obstetrician. Now, I have a little concern with respect to the management of pregnant women in this pandemic. For now, UGMC has done 2 cases, as was mentioned. A colleague in Takwa, I know, did a cesarean section as well. But the challenge is, if we start getting an increasing number of our pregnant women being positive, it's going to be a big challenge in managing them, knowing that the isolation centers available are choked, and the expertise is sort of scattered. So you have UGMC being able to do these things. 37 can do it. I'm sure Kulibu and Rage, all of these guys can do it. But do they have the infrastructure to be able to cater for pregnant women? So probably if we're looking at a system where there was a dedicated place that would take care solely for pregnant women. Because come to think of it, if somebody is positive and you have to go through a vaginal delivery, it's going to take a long time for that baby to come out. And the midwife needs to be clad in PPEs or some sort of clothing, not necessarily full PPEs, to prevent infecting that midwife. And that is going to take quite some time. So if you had a dedicated place where this could be done, so that pregnant women are catered for in that regard, it will be helpful.
Okay.
Some health workers have also said, and indeed I support that view as well, that all patients who need surgery of any sort should get tested, and the results should come back pretty quickly so that you can act on. But unfortunately, because of the delays in getting back results, it's difficult for people to do this.
TT Soja is here. Hello.
Lexus.
Yes, sir.
That's my brother in the studio, man.
All right. Talk to him. He's right here.
James, I have a message for you from where you did.
He's all ears.
Yeah. When you do a rep study, I tell you, say, they are coming for you, giddy, because you didn't tell them we were going to the studio. But hey, my brother, big ups and well done to your team. The brothers are standing by for the drink up at the mess tomorrow.
Hey.
Sharp.
Social distancing at the mess.
Very necessary.
All right, thank you so much, TT. Lots of very interesting messages here. Lexus, that senior officer and doctor is a solid man. He hardly speaks, but when he does, you will marvel at such wisdom deposited in him. A selfless brother and wonderful obs and gynae specialist. Tell him Mackenzie salutes him. All right, Mackenzie. And then this one says, welcome to my brother, Dr. Janu. Wait, I'm sure you know this name. You can pronounce it.
Yeah, so he's another colleague from Chad. He's actually currently a commanding officer of a contingent in Chad.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's Lieutenant Colonel Ampedu. Drobo, that's why he's
Drobo from South Sudan. Okay, he just sent in a message from South Sudan. But what's that name there, Dr. Janu?
Janus. Well, you get a few people calling me Agyare-Gyane, so that's what you get them calling.
Janus, Agyare-Gyane. So yeah. Janus.
Yeah, well, it's a name from Legon days. So.
Oh wow, good stuff. One more time, I need to congratulate your whole team. I got a message as well from Captain Kevin Amedo. He says, we're proud of you, sir. All right, Captain. So to the whole team, Lieutenant Colonel Asare, Lieutenant Colonel Mumuni, Major Lambert J, Major Randy Teria, Captain George Ojo, Flight Lieutenant Cynthia Usi, in T, Flight Lieutenant Ebenezer Tamate, Sub-Lieutenant Tamate as well, Lieutenant Agyare-Gyane, and W1 Jonas Obeng. Anybody else you know?
And Dorothy Asuman.
And Dorothy Asuman.
And Major Tente.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So to end it all, I'm grateful to the commanding officer of the Level 2 unit, Colonel Thomas Boye, Deputy Commanding Officer Lieutenant Colonel Ajibli, who provide support to the whole team at the place, and the higher command of the Ghanaian forces, who support us in what we do.
If you had any advice for the general public, what would it be?
Wear your mask. Wash your hands and stay at home if you don't have anything doing in town.
That's all. You hear? Do it all. Wear your mask, stay at home if you don't have anything at all doing in town. It's real. It's very real. I'm glad you shared this with us today.
Thank you.
I enjoyed spending time with you. Lieutenant Colonel Frederick Agyare-Gyane. He's an experienced obstetrician and gynecologist, women's health advocate, and medical educator with a 37 military hospital. May God bless you and your team and keep you safe as well.
Thank you.
We always say a prayer for our health workers, don't we?
Lord, we confess that we are at our wit's end and we really need your help. Please let heaven speak on our behalf today. We pray at this time for all our health personnel who have put their lives on line to help curb and reduce this coronavirus pandemic in our world. Lord, please keep an eye on them for us. We remember those nurses and attendants who clean up after those who have been infected by the virus. Lord, please, they are in danger zone. Please protect them all from this dangerous virus. In the name of Jesus, we pray for the lab technicians. We pray for scientists who are working hard to even try to find antiviral solutions. Lord, give them special breakthrough. Let your peace, which passes all understanding, keep our hearts and minds steady on you, Lord, even now and evermore.
I'm watching the news, yeah. All you workers in the front line, respect and honor due to you, yeah. For us, your lives is sacrifice, overstretched and tired.
His humanity. Thanks for spending time with us this Thursday evening on Personality Profile. I'm Lexus Bale. Thanks to my team, Adam Naite, Philip Naya, Beku, Sankofi, So, Noforia, Anita, and Mirabel. God willing, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, we're back on your radio. George Adu Jr. and the sports team are going to be on your radio very shortly.
I'm watching the news, yeah.